take it out for that day, and then we can put it back, right? So discreet and traditional jewelry is the way to go. Bad example here, just so that we're all clear, okay? Nails, I talked about nails being neatly manicured. Your makeup, perfume, or cologne really should be like non-existent, guys and gals. And I can tell you, like, some of you come into my office, and my office is really small and it has no window, and it's like I don't know if you think you're going clubbing when we're going to our meeting or what, but like it's too much. All right, so you're better off just not even wearing cologne, all right, because you never know what someone's, sensitivity is to it as well. So the worst thing you can do is like speak to an employer, they're allergic, and the whole time they're like, they're not listening to a word you're saying because they're busy singing. All right, your hair should be neatly styled. Tattoos should not be visible. Now I will say that there's this new hotel brand out there called Graduate Hotels, and they're shaking up the industry big time. They're fine with piercings. They're fine with tattoos. They're fine with funky hairstyles and colors, right? So if you know that that's your style, I would consider working with that company because that your style matches that company culture. All right, so Graduate Hotels is the only one I've heard very blatantly tell me, no, that's fine for us. Not a problem. We're fine. Because they're actually targeting your age to work at their hotels, right? Non-traditional piercings, I already talked about removing them or covering them up, right? So first impressions are the most lasting. When in doubt, go conservative. Limit your accessories. A suit is by far the most appropriate, fashion to wear for professional dress. Be overdressed and underdressed, and dress for the job you want. That summarizes our professional dress. Any questions on that right now? Anything that you're ambiguous about? Like, oh, I'm not sure if I can. Like, think of something in your wardrobe right now, and you're like, I don't know if I should wear that. Yes?
I know you mentioned baby suits and dry suits, but I have a light gray suit.
That'll work.
It does, okay.
Yeah, for the first paragraph. Yes.
You said wanted to choose, I guess, flats, okay.
Flats are okay. And know that in hospitality and in sport too, when you go for job interviews, sometimes those interviews entail a tour of the property. So you better be comfortable in those shoes, guys and gals. Don't let it be the first time you're wearing those shoes. Break them in beforehand. Because then you'll be like, I'm fine. And you're doing one of these the whole way. And it stands out. I saw someone at the last career fair that we did for STEM majors like that, and I just felt so badly for the student. I was like, oh, why are you breaking in your shoes today? Today's not the day to break them in. Okay?
So you said for the female blouse, it was white or
pastel, like a light color. Like, I'm not gonna wear like a red popping shirt.
No.
Blouse.
But what about a color for that time of year?
That would be appropriate. Or
What
happens
happens to the dark, the what we call power colors, like not red, but the greens, the dark greens, the browns, not necessarily browns, but the dark green. I knew that dark green used to be a power color.
I don't know what happened to them. I never heard of dark green being a powder. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if you ever participate, so for those of you, and you might want to jot this down, just to segue a bit, because if professional attire is a roadblock for your career advancement right now, write this down right now. Suit yourself. Go on memphis.edu, okay? Search suit yourself in that search bar and apply. We have these opportunities. We have a great partnership with JCPenney, and students who qualify, we literally take you on a bus down to JCPenney. We have people help you pick out the attire. Well, my boss, Alicia Rose Henderson, is incredibly strict on the guidelines. So she's not going to let you get that popping paisley tie. She's going to say, no, it's got to be conservative. So know that that's a resource if you feel like you need some help building your professional, because it can cost a pretty penny to get a new suit. I mean, we went suit shopping, it was like on sale $200. And that's without the shoes, the stockings, the blouse. So know that it can cost, and it's a great deal. Students get a $150 gift card, but there's 40% off on top of that. And they give whatever sales that are going on at JCPenney that weekend, you get those as well. So students literally walk away with like $400+ in merchandise, and they didn't put anything out of pocket. But you must be like, you must have the financial need though. We just don't give it to everybody. So you have, in your application, you have to have that qualifying statement of how you're gonna apply it and why you need it. Yes, sir.
What if, I got like accepted to that and I wasn't able to make it at the time?
Did you
So,
tell them that?
I told them that I haven't gotten an email back.
All right, can you forward me the email that you told them that? Because they're pretty strict about, like, if you missed it, you missed it, and they won't accept you again. But if you conveyed that and you explained why, then sometimes we can work something. Yes, ma'am.
I told them that I understand that something that I could come to the next one.
Okay.
But you don't need to fill out the application for the next one, or?
I don't know the answer to that question, so please email me that.
Okay, and if the deadline was passed for the application as well, it was on the 15th, the deadline
For the next event was the 15th. If you, all right, the one thing I will say is if anyone from this class applies, there is a staff or faculty recommendation that has to go with it to complete your application. So if you apply, send me an email saying, Ms. Martha, I applied for Suit Yourself, and I will gladly send that in. Because I can verify that you've been doing workshops with Career Services, and that's one of the things that they also look for. Yes, ma'am?
I just wanted to say, when I went, pastel pink shirts were immediately used.
Pastel paint shirts. Okay. Yeah.
Like, she's like, don't wear pastel paints to like job interviews and career fairs, because it's just not good.
My boss just happens to be really strict about this. I tend to be a little bit more, or maybe I don't know, I'm not stylish, but I was a bit more flexible, but she's very strict.
Can we wear ties with these?
Yes, you can wear tiger blue, and it's appropriate, right, because you're at the university, that's our university color. So that's fine for the career fair, but I wouldn't go doing that for any, if I were going to, I went to a fair last night in Oxford. I didn't see, students necessarily wearing the Ole Miss colors. One kid did, he had like this maroonish poster red, but that was it. It stood out. I don't know if I can say it in a good way. So.
When is the next?
You have to look online. I know the next date, I believe, is the 27th that they're actually going, but the application passed. And they're doing it, I believe, 3 or 4 times this year. And then, guys, at the end of the year, we have what we call Suit Up. So sometime in spring, we'll blast to the entire university. Whoever wants to go with their UID, you get 40% off everything. So you're not getting a gift card, but it's still a really good deal. So keep in mind Suit Up if you don't get into Suit Yourself, right? Sorry for the segue, but here we go. We're gonna recap that, and now for business etiquette. We covered some of this in our last presentation, right? When I was talking about debunking the millennial myths, right? Or this is what I'm asking you to do. Remember when you go into an organization, you're the newest person on the team. So don't act like you know how to do everything, because that's usually not received well. When you're sending any communications, triple spell and grammar check everything, all right? Don't just assume that everything is going to be underlined by Microsoft Outlook as a typo, because sometimes you can be using a different word, right?
You can use a correct word for the wrong.
Exactly. So limit your personal screen time when you're at work. And this is something that the industries are really struggling with. They don't know how to keep people focused at work on the job that they're supposed to do. And in some cases, that's something that's dangerous, right? If you're distracted but you're in a safety role at your company, that's, you know, and front desk is kind of a safety role. Like, you just don't want anyone just walking up into the hotels. Okay. Yes?
A good way to practice for that while we're at school is pocket points. I don't know if you guys use it or not.
Pocket points?
Points.
What are pocket points?
So it's an app, and while in class, you earn points and you can get discounts around shops and when you go out to eat and everything. I use it.
Pocket points, have you heard that? Write it down, guys, I love it. So if you take, so limiting your screen time earns you
And
credit.
even when you're driving now, they do it.
I do it when I'm driving, but I just have that thing on my phone, I don't have it as
Well, now you earn points and like.
pocket points, I need to get down with that. But, yes, sir,
Yeah.
you wanna say something?
No.
Okay.
Just enough, I said, I work with the market, they're one of the marketing coordinators last year, so they wrote the program in 2017.
Okay.
They started popping versions of it, they're working at it in 2018.
This is the first time, thank you for sharing that, I didn't know that. So know your audience, always understand the needs of the person to whom you're communicating as, or the person that you're reporting to. And you wanna kind of, like, I don't know if you guys get this, but like, it's my job to help make my boss look good and my department look good. It's not written in my job description, make Alicia Rose Henderson look good, right? But I understand that intuitively. Like, I've gotta represent my department well, I have to represent the division well, I have to represent the University of Memphis well. So in a lot of cases, I'm anticipating the needs to make our department look good. So I'll go into a meeting and I'm like, oh, they haven't heard about this event we're doing, let me make sure that they know. I just wanted to share this key point of information I thought you might find useful. And I'm anticipating, no one told me to do that. So you really have to be thinking forward if you're gonna represent wherever you work for well. Respond to communications promptly, respectfully, and in the same medium in which you receive them. So it can get really confusing, and this is actually happening quite a bit, where you're emailing someone, and then next thing you know, they're trying to send you a text message about the thing that they're emailing you about. That gets really confusing because now you're not like, okay, what's the most recent thing? So try to communicate with people in the medium in which they're communicating with you. But at the same time, understand that sometimes picking up the phone and speaking to someone is the most efficient thing, even though email exists. Because sometimes you're not using the right wording in your email and things get confusing, whereas if I just have to pick up the phone and call you, and it's crazy, we do it here in Cummins Wilson School. You know, it blows my mind. Like, if we just got up and walked to each other's offices, like that would save probably a good 10 emails a day at the minimum. But we don't do that. So I think that's something, and it helps build communications and relationships. So now, anytime I email Dr. Silks, I think, okay, is she busy with someone? Okay, if she's not busy, I'm gonna walk over to her. She's right next door to me. It doesn't make sense that I'm gonna email her, right? Learn and navigate the organization's culture. So if your department or division is really big on text messaging or using whatever app, then you're gonna have to jump in or else you're gonna be left out. And you don't wanna be the person that's left out. So you gotta understand the culture there. And treat all staff with respect and courtesy. So including your maintenance workers, they're essential to any operation. So business communication, remember we talked about nonverbal. There's also email, social networking sites, letters and memos, text messages, and telephone. You have to know your branding for each of these mediums. It's not like I can be, even when I text message my boss, I'm not like, yo, Alicia, you know, like I can say that to my friend in New York, but I'm not gonna say that to my boss. It's just inappropriate. We talked about nonverbal communications and those gestures, so I'm gonna move on because my time's gonna run out. But you guys get it. Being on time is a big part of nonverbal communication though. Because if you're late all the time, it's sort of like, oh, this doesn't matter to me. I don't care. And that's what people read into it. That may not even be the case for you, but that's the message you're delivering by being late all the time. Know that your name tag goes on the right side. So when you go to events or if they're the career fair, we'll print a name tag for you. Wear it on the right side. Okay? What's the logic? I know you know. I'm not telling us. Say that? Yeah. So if I stick out my, so we are a right-handed dominated society. I'm sorry, I didn't invent it. Okay, so if you're left-handed, I didn't make that up. So if I reach out and shake hands, you can see my name tag. That's the idea. Now there are some hotels, and we saw this at Crown Plaza when we were there for IHG, where all the staff wore their name badge on the left side. But that was that company's culture. And but when you think about it, is the housekeeping staff going around shaking hands? Probably not. So I'm just going by guidelines that are put out, you know, by NACE, which is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. It's a long way. I love, are you doing the thing with Dan Bamberg this year? Okay, you guys soak it up. It's an excellent presentation that Dan does. But you're gonna understand the table setting. To summarize it really quickly, when you're looking at all the utensils when you sit down, you're working from the outside in, okay? I went to this luncheon today where they served bread and butter, but they did not have a butter plate. But know that little bread and butter plate is right there, okay? Usually the biggest glass is your water glass, okay? Now wine glasses are coming in a lot of interesting shapes. Like now they have ones without stems, and you know what I'm talking about? So you just have to know the table setting for that, right? But Dan does an excellent, excellent job. He'll tell you everything from like, when you're eating your soup, you're scooping your soup spoon and going outwards, lifting it up, putting it on the side, you know, cleaning this bottom, and then putting it in your mouth. Why do you go out?
Control drippage.
Yeah, don't splash yourself, right? Don't, you know, you get dirty, so you go outwards. He does, I love his, like every time I go to it, I learn something new. He gets into like the shape of the tines of the fork and everything. All right, it's quite fascinating. Right? So there's a difference between our style of dining. He's going to review that too with you. I like eating this way when I go out to functions because it makes me eat slow. Seriously. Like if I have my fork in my right hand, because I'm right hand dominated, all right, I will eat a lot faster. But if I'm trying to do this, where my fork tines down and I'm picking up slower bites, like smaller bites of food, and I take a lot more time during my meal. This takes practice though, guys. So don't let the first time you're following this kind of etiquette style be at that job interview where they're like, oh, let's do lunch and we'll talk. Right? Don't try it for the first time there because you'll drop a fork in front of them. I'm telling you, it takes practice. So start doing it now, you know, and you cut and you bite. You're not cutting up all, you know, your whole plate of food like you're a toddler, right? That's what you do for your, you know, a kid. You don't do that. You cut and eat as you go. You don't just cut it all up. So these are all little things that Dan will go over. How soon is that presentation? I want to use it. And you get to eat when you do this presentation, so it's pretty cool. Okay. General rules at a dinner or any luncheon or anywhere, right? Follow the host's lead.
It is next week.
It's next week?
Yeah.
Perfect time. So follow the host's lead, all right? So if the host is ordering a salad, what should you order? A salad, okay? Or if you know, there are certain foods that you definitely stay away from in a business setting, like any kind of finger foods, spaghetti. Stay away from those because they can get really messy, right? But in general, follow your host lead. Work from the outside in. When you have to pass the salt, if someone says, oh, can you just pass me the salt? You always pass the salt and pepper. They stay together on the table, all right? Don't stick gum on your plate or in a cloth napkin or under the table. It's all gross. Just excuse yourself. And I'll be right back. I'm just going to go to the restroom. Get rid of it. Wait until everyone has been